At the end of December in 1980, a series of bizarre events unfolded near RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk, sparking one of the most intriguing UFO mysteries in British history. I went along recently to retrace the events of those two incredible nights, in a case that has since become known as the British Roswell. Firstly, it has to be noted that Rendlesham Forest and its surroundings are absolutely beautiful. This is a sprawling arboreal paradise, with vast trees stretching up into the sky, and an unexpected sandy underfoot for large swathes of the forest. So let's explore Rendlesham Forest, the British Roswell.
So welcome to a quite busy Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk, where we're going to look for UFOs. This is the site of a 1980 UFO encounter with US military personnel. Saw an alien craft, or a presumed alien craft, on two separate occasions in December 1980.
Before venturing into the forest proper, I made sure to check on my kit, this being one of my first UFO hunting trips and all.
So let me just show you my UFO hunting kit. So the bag of tricks includes something quite disturbingly called a nuclear radiation detector. This is an endoscope to get into nooks and crannies, just in case we want to probe any aliens, redress the balance a little bit. There's a little telescope, telescopic dowsing rods there, a compass, and there are two watches. Now, in an X-Files episode, I saw Mulder use two stopwatches to check for missing time. These are obviously set to the same time, so I'm going to use one on my wrist and have one in the car and see if we experience any missing time. So as I mentioned, I've got two watches here which are both set to the same time. One will be with me as I go to, I suppose, what you could call ground zero for the UFO encounter in 1980, and one is going to be kept in the car to see if there's any discrepancies when we get back.
Equipment all present and correct, it was time to head to the start of the excitingly named UFO Trail. The trail itself is laid out largely in the order of events over those two mysterious nights more than 4 decades ago. What I'll do now is interweave those events with my own observations along the way. In 1980, what began as a routine patrol soon escalated into a tale of unexplained lights, strange craft, and an eerie atmosphere. As I walked along the trail, I felt the weight of the place immediately. This is a location that overawes and makes you reflect on both your place on the planet and in the wider universe.
Well, we're away from the main car park now, and everything's very quiet, possibly too quiet. Just approaching the east gate on this trail.
Some stunning scenery was a treat to behold as I headed, aided by a fun map provided on site and fantastic signposting, to the first major stop along the way. This is known as the East Gate. Just after 2 a.m. on December the 27th, 1980, 2 USAF security police personnel were manning the East Gate of RAF Woodbridge. The night was quiet until they received an unexpected call from a non-commissioned officer reporting unusual lights in the forest beyond the base. Intrigued and duty-bound, the 2 officers joined a third who was already investigating on foot. For my part, it was an odd feeling standing at this iconic site in the often derided but endlessly fascinating field known as ufology. A feeling that was slightly heightened by a grim warning that simply read, "Danger, asbestos." I explored the fence that barred the way to the restricted area of the airfield site beyond. But this vantage point does not allow you to see an airfield, just a large open field with a forested area beyond. The fence showed evidence of unauthorised access with cutting equipment and hasty repair. I wonder what the intruders were hoping to find.
So this is the area just outside of RAF Woodbridge's East Gate in the forest, and someone if I back up, has cut through the fence at some point. It's been hastily reinforced, taped on. So in the distance there is the east gate. This is the road that the personnel came down after they saw a light from here.
Moving on, a prolonged trek through gorgeous woodland and dense low-lying foliage was next up as I headed towards a clearing where the mystery in 1980 took a stunning turn. In 2025, however, the walk was punctuated by the roar of high-powered military aircraft whooshing overhead. Signs of logging activity were also evident along the way. Back in 1980, the USAF trio ventured into the dense woodland, where they were met with an otherworldly sight. Bright lights emanated from the forest, casting an eerie glow. The men entered the trees and the lights appeared to break down and scatter, only to reform into a single beam that guided them deeper into the woods.
So we're just approaching the clearing now, where a conical or triangular shaped craft was allegedly seen. So it actually turns out the trail from the east gate is considerably longer than it looks. So we're coming up to the clearing now, but I mean it's just some incredible woodland behind massive tall trees. Some of the trees marked for logging crews to come in, and you just go through these dark forested areas and then you come out onto these huge wide expanses. So I was saying about the marked trees for logging crews, so lovely smell, freshly chopped wood, which I believe these are quite sustainable, so don't get too upset about it. But there's a pink mark on that one, and that one's been felled. So nice clean job.
In 1980, the men reached a clearing known as Point 3, where the strange phenomena continued. This clearing is now marked by a fanciful metal sculpture of a landed UFO and some other intriguing features. Not least the limited growth of the trees in the area immediately facing the clearing, and some interesting readings on my Geiger counter, especially near to a small hole in the ground with swarming bees.
There are millions of bees hovering around something on the floor here. Not sure what that is. And the radiation's increased as well.
Compass readings, however, seem to remain consistent.
So behind me is effectively ground zero for the first sighting, obviously marked by this, but an interesting little clearing, and it was very noisy when we arrived. So there was a family with some kids here, but when you're on your own here, this is quite a solemn sort of place. And there were some bees on the ground over there which seemed swarming and very interested in something, and the actual dosimeter picked up a bit of an increase in radiation close to them, so spooky.
At the landing site in the clearing, the USAF officers in 1980 stumbled upon 3 small broken tree branches, each with snapped ends lying on the ground. The branches measured 1.5 inches deep, with imprints 7 inches wide, an abnormality suggesting something heavy had landed. The trees around the site were bent and mature, yet the area showed signs of recent disturbance. Disturbance that may continue to this day, as the following observation shows.
A slight observation at the site here is that all the other trees seem quite lush, and these ones, not so much really, very barren. Clear, sort of almost stripped. Just an observation, especially these ones.
In the UFO sculpture clearing, I again heard the whooshing engines of military planes overhead, before they hoved into view and treated those of us on the ground to some impressive aerobatic manoeuvres. Departing the landing site and walking onwards towards the edge of the forest, there are glimpses of a clearing across a fence and the Orford Nest lighthouse in the distance, mooted by some sceptics as the cause of the unexplained lights in 1980. And in 1980 the patrol pressed on to the forest edge, where the second sighting occurred. Two USAF personnel equipped with Geiger counters were already there. As they approached Point 4, a pillar of yellowish mist appeared, centred in the darkness. A craft approximately 2 to 3 metres across emerged from the mist, pulsating with light and displaying a triangular shape.
So apparently the craft hovered here for a time before splitting into different components, elliptical shapes, and reportedly women were heard screaming in the forest, but it's believed they were muntjac deer who make a kind of screaming sound, and all of the animals of the forest behind me were reacting violently to the hovering craft.
As the US military patrol approached Point 5, they encountered the mysterious craft again, moving at half speed with an abnormal halting motion. One officer remarked, "I could not move, it was on half speed and something was wrong." The craft eventually ascended and vanished, leaving a lingering sense of mystery. A sense of mystery that remains to this day, as I stand in the very spot and have walked the exact same route. I did not witness anything paranormal myself, although did encounter a dead fox with a broken neck in the perimeter fence of the airbase, which was somewhat eerie in this storied setting. She's not made it into this video for obvious reasons. The walk back to the car did also feature a slightly bizarre encounter with an old man, who mysteriously was alone with two bicycles and seemed a bit disoriented. I pointed him in the right direction. Was he a fabled man in black? Well, no, he wasn't actually in black, but who the other bike belonged to remains a somewhat minor new mystery of Rendlesham Forest. There was just time to admire some more of the breathtaking natural beauty of the forest as I headed back to the car. On arriving at the nearby town of Ipswich some time later, I had almost forgotten about the watches I had synchronised and checked for any discrepancies.
So I've just arrived in Ipswich now, so it's the time to have the big reveal about whether we've got any missing time with the two watches. So I will put them down and see, because they were both at the same time before. Oh, and here we have it. So they were both at exactly the same time when I separated them at Rendlesham Forest, and they seem to be, one seems to be slightly ahead of the other. I don't know if that's my error or if we have an example of missing time. Who knows? There we go. So that one is just approaching, it's about 3 minutes past 5, and that one is yeah, slightly ahead, I think.
Evidence of missing time or variable battery performance, who knows? But what a fascinating wander through this stunning location this was. The The events at Rendlesham Forest on those 2 nights in December 1980 remain unexplained. But something definitely happened, and there is an audio recording made by US Colonel Charles Holt, who was there, that provides some firm evidence that something otherworldly did in fact take place. As with all of these things, it depends on what you believe about our place in the universe that colours your perception of what might or might not have happened. The Rendlesham Forest incidents rightly have their British Roswell label in my view, and present perhaps the most important example of paranormal encounters in British history. My heart says it was visitors from space or another dimension. My head says otherwise. Like Fox Mulder in The X-Files, I want to believe, but unlike Mulder, I'm just not sure that I do. But as the cliché dictates, it's the journey and all the wonder that goes with it that matters. Are we alone in the universe? Are we visited by aliens? Are there rational explanations for these and other similar encounters? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and most importantly subscribe. And you can also support the channel on Subscribestar via the link in the description or via YouTube's Super Thanks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.